We have this man here in studio for not one but two segments. Very pleased to have on the program Jerry Ferrara. How are you, Jerry?
I'm good, and I'm a big fan of celebrations.
You are?
You know,
but group celebrations? What do you mean?
I played in that DirecTV Beach Bowl, and I'm gonna absolutely be arrogant. I won MVP, but I was more.
Hold on a minute. Wait a minute. You won MVP of the Beach. I did not know this.
Did you not know this?
This didn't filter to me.
Oh.
Well, I wasn't fully part of the DirecTV family until about
I guess
6 weeks ago.
And might I add, this is an amazing space.
Thank you.
I'm loving this.
Me too.
But it was all about the touchdown celebration. So I went, because it's a Beach Bowl, I went Sand Angel.
Okay.
Which was good. And then I wanted to get one in, but I thought it might have been a penalty. I actually wanted to give the ball CPR.
There you are.
And then,
look at you. Look at you scoring touchdowns. Who are you?
There's one on Eddie. Look, holding.
Oh, Eddie
holding.
George. That's an
And
absolute
watch this. I think I signed it for him.
You went to the ground and you flew it up in the air, sort of like a LeBron celebration.
It's so funny.
Right
I
there.
walked into Doug Ellen's office, the creator of Entourage, like 2 weeks after that, and Eddie George was having a meeting with Doug randomly about something, and I just saw Eddie George, and I was like pointing at him, and he literally jumped up. He's like, "I had a torn ACL." I'm like, "Oh." Eddie George is the strongest guy I've ever seen in my life.
He was here last week. He is huge. Could you imagine him coming downhill on you?
Like when he was actually holding me there,
Yes.
if he didn't want to let go, I would have been there forever.
Yeah. Well, and so you celebrated.
I like celebrating.
Where's the hardware now? Where's the MVP hardware?
It's nestled just above my seat. Like when I'm sitting there watching you in the morning, it's always watching me.
So your G-men are on a bye week now.
Yes, big week. I like our odds this week.
You were going to kick the crap out of the bye. So 3 and 4. It seems to be the usual with the Giants, where they're teasing, they're good, then they're not so good, as opposed to, and last year though they were just bad to begin with.
All the way around.
3 and 4, this is actually good. Eli says you're not too far away, that it's not too late. Would you agree with this assessment?
You know, it makes me happy that he feels that way. Here's what scares me about the Giants. And 3 and 4 is roughly kind of what I expected. Could easily be 4 and 3. Like the game against the Cowboys, those are usually the games that the Giants would win, and everyone's kind of scratching their head like, how the heck did the Giants come out with that game? Usually it's the Cowboys who have that costly fumble while marching down the field that Donnell had. And the Cowboys are kind of making those key plays to win games. So that's very annoying and scary. But I think the rest of obviously the division does not look so good for the Giants to win, but that wild card position, just the fact that the Seahawks now have some losses and the Bears have some losses, they could sneak in with a wild card. You know, the brilliant part about being a Giants fan is you're always in it. Eli gets hot, you could go on that magical run. So.
Well, you could see when they come back from the bye, they got Andrew Luck, then they've got to go to Seattle.
That's fun. I'm going to go to that game.
And then they're home for the 49ers before being home for the Cowboys. That is a brutal, brutal stretch. And you are going to be in that mix with the 12s up in the Pacific Northwest?
I'm hoping to go to that game. And actually, this coming weekend, I am going to be in Ohio for a wedding. And then that Sunday, I'm going to Browns-Raiders.
Wow.
Hotly contested battle. I can't wait.
Dude, that is hardcore stuff right there for you to go to see Browns-Raiders.
If I'm there for a wedding, I might as well go take in the game.
Do you have a fantasy player on either of those teams? Is that what it is?
I might. Well, I'm in 9 leagues, so I might have Jordan Cameron in one of my.
Are you really in 9 fantasy football leagues?
I'm in 5.
Okay.
And my NFL Network one is I'm the laughing stock.
That's the one with Fabiano as the commissioner?
I'm 1 in whatever. I'm a laughing stock.
That is unacceptable to use the Brandon Marshall phrase for the 3 and 4 Bears.
I put together such a bad team. Such a bad team.
Who else is in that NFL.com/celebrity league for people to go look at it?
Max Greenfield from New Girl.
Okay.
Scott Porter, formerly of Friday Night Lights.
Yes, he was QB1.
QB1, that's right. Who else? David Boreanaz, I want to say.
Of Bones
Susie
fame.
Castillo.
Okay. And you're a one-win team in all of that stuff.
One-win team.
What's your best one? Do we have his fantasy team somewhere? Do we have that?
Yeah.
Okay, so which one is this?
So this one
you got to be good in this one.
A buddy of mine who owns the sports bar Goal in Hollywood started this fantasy league for the first time. So it's a lot of my friends. They're going to hang up a plaque and start inscribing the names of the winners. This one means a lot to me right here.
Well, how in the world do you get to start 4 wide receivers, Jerry? How did we do that?
Wait. Oh, no, it's just...
Oh, that's just part of... You got how many flexes?
No.
do
We
you got
start
there?
2. Basically, Welker would be on the bench. Well,
Okay.
Welker,
so it's not
Hilton's
some
always
odd
vying
sort
for
of
that
fantasy
flex.
league. Okay, so we're putting up somebody from your bench up there.
They're always vying for that flex spot. Like I started Welker when he got 0 2 weeks ago, and T.Y. Hilton had 200 yards, and we lost. So that was my fault.
I had Percy Harvin that week.
Oof.
He got the 0 in his final game at the Dallas Cowboys, in which he pulled himself out of that game. Which to my fantasy team, that's an outrage. I don't draft players to beg out of real games for me to lose my virtual games. That is not acceptable.
I have
me.
a question, then a statement. I'll go with the
for it.
statement first.
Yes.
I find myself drafting now where I used to be like cutting edge, always knowing like the sleeper picks. I find myself like drafting from the past, like players who've maybe done something from me. And
no
you know they say
question.
don't pay a player for what he's done,
Yeah.
pay him for what he can do. I draft from the past. And then the question for you is, what are we now thinking of Percy Harvin, at least fantasy-wise? We can't even say what happens in real life.
Well, I mean,
What's his value?
What does Glaze think about that? David Spade. I mean, don't you hang out with those guys on Sunday?
Yeah, and that's why I'm asking you, because I'm coming for some real advice. I'm coming for some.
Oh, yeah.
I'm coming for some professional advice.
Okay. So here's the statement that you made before. I learned that way, the hard way. 2 years ago, in 2012, I drafted a fantasy team that would have crushed it in 2009.
Exactly.
Okay, I
exactly.
drafted Antonio Gates and Chris Johnson, and it was dreadful. I finished last, and that's when you get all your buddies giving you grief. And in my position, they're all like, no football. So you work on the NFL Network. Guess what I do? I'm in commercial real estate, and I just kick your ass.
You have a
you
bullseye
can't have that.
on your back.
Right, and that's why my mood is so much better on Mondays when I win my fantasy league. It is unsettling how much it means to me to win these things. And so to answer your question is I have no earthly idea about Percy Harvin. I have him in one of my leagues, and I picked up Odell Beckham 2 weeks ago in both of my leagues.
Yes.
Before he started, I'm like, this kid's got it, and let's see if he's going to do well. And he's now starting every week, but he's on a bye. So I don't have the cojones to put Percy Harvin in the lineup, even though you just know they're going to have to feature him. They're not going to trade this and make this big hoopla and be 1-6 and have him there and try and evaluate the quarterback by not targeting him and giving a boatload of touches. The Buffalo Bills defense, though, may not be the defense to try him out against.
I have him in the Fabiano NFL Network. I'm 1-6.
Well, I mean, exactly.
So
you're like the Jets. You're like the real Jets record. So why not put him out there?
You know what's amazing is like when my fantasy team goes really bad, I'm all of a sudden real busy. Like when guys start talking trash, like, yeah, guys, I don't have time to set my. I just don't have the time to do it properly. It's never my fault. I'm always like, life gets in the way from fantasy football sometimes. But my good teams, it's all about how awesome I am at picking up players.
When is the Entourage movie coming out?
Slated for June. I believe June 15th of next year. Could get moved up. From
really?
Maybe.
Can you help me break entertainment news?
That could be a story. It might maybe sooner. No, from everything I've heard though.
Summer of next year.
Yes, because it was such a summer show. It always aired in the summer. I think it's become a little synonymous with that. I've actually seen it, a very early cut.
And?
Look, I'm the ultimate pessimist. It's real. For the diehards, they're going to be in heaven, but it also has that thing where even if you weren't avid watcher, if you just checked in from time to time, the way Doug managed to bring everyone up to speed, it's done in a really, really cool way.
Well, the neat thing is, too, is with the way that this feels when you watch it and the way you are in real life. When you see a picture of the one that's right behind me right now, I have no idea if that's from the movie or that's from real life. Which one is that? Or from the show? Is that from the show?
That's from the show.
With Brady and Wahlberg.
Yes. Do you know initially who Tom Brady, here's a little fun fact. Initially, and Doug's told this story, I think, one other time so I could tell it. That was not supposed to be Wahlberg or Brady.
Okay.
It was written for the Manning brothers who solicited, like called Doug, said, hey, we want to be on the show.
Right.
So Doug wrote this whole golf episode with Johnny Drama and Vincent Chase versus like Peyton and Eli. And I think like 2 weeks before they had to drop out or kind of pulled a little bit of a French exit and like, oh no, we can't do it. Irish goodbye. And Wahlberg came to the rescue. He was like, I'll do it. You want me to call Tom? And next thing you know, within like a week's notice, Brady, who was just like off his surgery from that game against the Chiefs, like he was just about to make his comeback, and Wahlberg are doing this whole golf episode. And it's pretty great.
So many shows when you've got the Manning brothers booked. are finished if they can't do it at such a late stage. And to have Wahlberg basically say, "I'll call Tommy," and show up with those guys. And Brady's the real deal.
Oh,
the
my
way
God.
that's
also,
him.
too,
He's just a genuine down to earth.
we're
dude.
on the golf course, and like, the guy was not that far out of surgery, and just like, it's like 5 o'clock in the morning, and it's 45 degrees, which in LA is freezing cold. We were
Right.
shooting, because it was like February, and he just gets up. I think it was like a very short par 4, it's like 335 yards. He almost drove the green, just like practicing.
And can you tell him you're a Giant fan?
Oh
to
no,
him?
it was very clear, and it was very evident. And actually, when Doug was rewriting it for Brady, I kind of went in his office, and he was like, "Well, what would you say to Tom Brady?" I'm like, "We're talking about what the line should be." And I actually called one of my friends back in. He actually was living in Staten Island from Brooklyn, and I said, "Paul, what would you say if you saw Tom Brady the night before the Super Bowl in the street?"
Yeah.
I can't repeat the line,
Not safe for work.
obviously, but he said I would tell him he sucks
Right.
footballs.
Yes.
And that's the line that made it into the show. Yeah.
I'm so proud of my hometown of Staten Island, New York.
baby.
I am so very proud.
Staten Island.
Strong Island. It's the Rock.
Yeah.
That's it, man. Jerry Ferrara is here in studio. We're going to hang out with him. I'm going to bring on my entourage, and all four of us are going to chat when we come back. Talk some more fantasy football, more Giants. Get set for week number 8. Who this guy thinks might wind up in Arizona when it's all said and done, whereas Giants is one of the only Super Bowl that's ever been played there. Back with more in a moment. Jerry Ferrara is joining me here in studio, joining us right now. I got my entourage. See, I got my entourage here. Chris Long, Chris Brockman.
That's how we roll.
We go back to our podcast days. You were a regular on the podcast on NFL.com for years, Jerry.
I loved it. Actually, I can admit this to you. We are friends. It's what inspired me to start.
Is that right?
It just was so much fun, and I like the fact that you guys didn't feel like you were just doing a show. Like, you guys felt like friends. I bought all the conversations you were having, and it's absolutely what inspired me to do it.
And that's your podcast is available where? Where can we get it? iTunes or
iTunes and on our website, B for B E-N-T.
B for B E-N-T.
Yes.
B for B, it stands for bad for business.
Yes, which it's still very bad. For
Is my open still part of my message to you? Still part of your open?
Your open is in there. I had emailed some friends if they would help me out with an open. You sent in a great one where I totally said, "Look, break my chops, rip me apart."
That's good, yeah.
And yours is, you're basically hysterically laughing. You totally sold it. You're like, and you actually say something where you're like, "What's he gonna talk about?" And like right before we were doing like the first show, that's in my ear, and I'm like, what am I going to talk about? He's kind of right. And everyone who listens to it, it wasn't like, oh, wow, Rich is just joking. It's like, yeah, no, he has a point.
Yeah.
They bought everything he said. They did not buy the joke. They took it for real.
You had your mom on show 1, right?
I had my mom on show 1.
And your niece does the intro too, right?
My niece, my nephew, it's a family affair. I just did another one. I was just in Staten Island visiting my mom. And I did a whole.
I don't know. Your mom lives on Staten Island?
She just moved. She just
to
moved
Staten Island.
to Staten Island. At like the furthest tip. Any closer to Jersey, she'd be in Jersey. So she's at the very end.
She's in the south part of Jersey.
Yes,
right
basically.
near the outer bridge.
Yes.
By the way, there's the outer bridge, there's the Goethals Bridge, and then there's the Bayonne Bridge. Three bridges connect Staten Island
Where's
and New Jersey.
Wu-Tang in all this?
Oh, they were in the North Shore.
Okay.
Wu-Tang Clan, the Staten Island Streetwise Troubadours, the Wu-Tang Clan, are from the North Shore of Staten Island, which is right near the ferry that goes to
I'm
New York
a
City.
College of Staten Island alum. I mean, are you an alum if you only went for a year and a half? You're technically not an alum.
No, you're not an alum, but you attended CSI. By the way, which is where all of us growing up in Staten Island, when the TV show CSI came out, we're like, why are they doing a show on the College of Staten Island?
That campus now, like
amazing.
they have dorms there now.
Did they really?
It really is. It's a great campus from what I saw. But,
That's where I got my start. Was the Staten Island Advance, which is the name of the newspaper.
Coveted paper over there.
It is. It's
What's circulation on that?
several 100,000.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's
wow.
huge. It's a huge. I don't know what it is now. It was when I was there.
Right.
It was 6 figures in circulation.
What'd you do for the event?
What I do, well, actually, the interesting thing enough is Staten Islanders put the accent on the first syllable, so it's called the Advance.
The Advance.
Yeah. So you work for the Advance, huh? That's
Brooklyn
basically
would
what
say
people would
the
say.
Advance.
And I would, Advance man, is what my friends would nickname it. I covered Ed Koch was the mayor at the time.
Yeah.
So I covered the ferry. There was a lot of medical waste washing up on the shores back in the day.
Wow.
I was in the environmental beat. And then I did the cops beat. And I had like this, and this is when I knew I would need to get into sports. I had this epiphany behind the wheel of a car, going from precinct to precinct, where you would look at the reports to see about burglaries and break-ins and whatever. And I had like this walkie-talkie that was blurting out these codes, probably talking about there was a cat in a tree somewhere, and I thought it was like a triple homicide every time that I was missing. And one time I went from one precinct to another, and an ambulance zoomed by, and I went through 3 red lights following the ambulance, thinking that might be part of what the code was. And I thought to myself, there is no way to describe what I'm doing other than ambulance chasing.
I have 2 questions.
And I said, I got to follow my dream.
How old were you at this point?
I was 22 years of age.
And what were you driving?
Oh God, a Honda Civic.
It's either a Civic or an
Accord.
Accord.
A 2-door?
No, I was a 4-door.
Okay.
It was
I feel like it was white.
It was actually maroon.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Good guess, though.
I just felt like I saw you in a white Civic.
No, I didn't. I did drive a white Ford Escort for my first job in television. You know, they had, and that's how I got my first job in TV. Is the TV station wanted to hire somebody from the CBS affiliate in Chico, because I was in Redding.
Okay.
They wanted to hire the guy from the Chico CBS affiliate. This is the ABC affiliate of Redding, California. And they had these fleet of white Ford Escorts with the station logo emblazoned down the side, so you knew who was on the scene, right?
God, that's amazing.
So the guy who they wanted to hire had 2 outstanding speeding tickets and was deemed unhireable because he was uninsurable.
And history's made.
And my record was clean. So for everybody out there who wants a job, where am I? So this is my camera right here. For everybody out there who wants a job in television, stop at every red light and go 54 miles
So you mean to tell me if this guy did not have points against his license, you're not getting that job?
I'm not getting that gig.
We're not sitting on the
Correct,
couch right
sir.
See, people complain every day they don't get opportunities. I think everyone gets opportunities every day, but you just aren't in tune to it.
You gotta
That,
make 'em.
my friend, was a major opportunity.
What was yours? This show? Or what was it about building up to this show? Entourage, or what?
Certainly this show, yeah.
But what about, I mean, where did they find you, essentially?
You were on King of Queens, right?
I came out to LA when I was 19, and I luckily was working right away, but nothing substantial. I worked in every restaurant as well, and my move was always, I would get like 2 episodes of King of Queens, and I'd make like $5 grand for 2 weeks' work, which was I was rich.
Yeah.
And I'd walk into the restaurant, whichever one I was working at, and I'd curse everybody out, and I'd quit, and I'd go do the show. I'd make my $5 grand.
Yes.
I would live fat for like 3 months. $5 grand was 3 months for me.
Yeah.
And then I'd run out of money, and I'd go back to the restaurant. I'd be like, "I have my job back, please," and they'd hire me. I quit the same job 5 times, and they always took me back.
Sort of like Favre in a way.
Yeah. I was the Brett Favre of Boston Market.
Did you go half-baked, though? Like,
Boston Market?
Boston
F
Market.
you.
And I was good. I was a carver, and then there was a moment where I had to go into the back, which is where you spit the chickens, which is you put the chickens on the spit and then get them ready for the oven.
Well, not spit on them.
Not spit
That's-
on
yeah,
them.
okay.
Spitting chickens as you're putting them on the metal rod, getting them ready for the oven. And that, I would say, would also be what launched me into weight gain.
And also, now you own Fat Sal's. Now you own your own eatery.
I do. And I don't know, man, it just has some kind of cool factor to it. Everywhere I go, you know, people do want to talk about Entourage, but now I'm getting a lot of people want to talk about Fat Sal's. It's kind of crazy.
You're in Austin though too now. I mean,
Just opened up
Yeah.
in
Fat Sal's
in
Deli?
Austin, Texas. Yeah, not far off the UT campus.
Did you ever have, what's the name of the big sandwich
That's the
there?
big fat fatty. That's like the competition sandwich.
Did
Which,
you ever have, you had that, right?
We
been
talked
trying to
about
get down there.
going
anytime,
to do it.
Anytime.
Can you, what
I
is,
think
what
that's
is
one
the,
where we
what
film
is
It's like
it.
an 18-pound sandwich.
Oh.
Yeah.
Can you do that, Law?
No. 18?
2 people have done it. One is a professional food eater who's like 6'2", jacked, ripped. You'd think food eater, you think fat.
It's usually like small little girls.
And then there was a woman did it who's about 5'2",
No way.
110 pounds, and
Really?
she has a sandwich now on the menu named after her.
Here's
that
what
she
we do.
created.
We need to bring a crew, bring Casey, and we'll film it, and then cut it
I
up,
don't know.
put it online
We
only.
can do it though.
We had like the UCLA baseball
Why not?
team versus the
We can do it.
Westwood Fire Department. It
Wow.
was pretty cool.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I got a question because you're obviously you've been in television for so long and acting. Now you're doing the studio show with Fox. How is that difficult for you? Is it easy? I mean, you're just really talking sports, which you love, so it's natural for you. But you have a producer in your ear, maybe.
You know what? It was a little tricky at first, but I have to say, like, doing a lot of shows, like, you know, after a while, you just sort of get used to it. It didn't really ever bother me. I guess also, too, like, I've filled in on radio shows before, so it wasn't, like, a first-time experience. But that show gets to me because if the Giants lose and all my fantasy teams lose, like, I can't listen to sports talk radio. I can't even I can't read a paper. And then to go in and have to talk about it, it really is a challenge for me.
Plus, Glaze knows everything. Jay Glazer knows everything about everything. But there's some stuff that's not reportable, okay? And he probably tells you stuff that makes your hair turn gray, that you don't want to know about your team and about your play. Am I off in any way, shape, or form?
No, you're way on. He trains me as well.
Is he really?
He's been training me for quite a while at Unbreakable, and every now and then, if I train hard, he'll literally give me his phone and be like, "Just go look," and I'll look at some texts from NC, and he'll break me off. He does this thing where he'll give me some stories that he's working on, and you can't say anything because if it ever got back to him, I said anything, he would cut me off so fast. He's like, "I'll let you hang yourself. If I tell you something that may happen and it gets back to me that you told someone, you're out.
Man.
You're out." So
It's like a test.
there's been things I've heard that I'd be like, I can't tell anybody that.
Bad for business. Listen, you come on this show, and you fill in for me. Fill in for me, and you can get your chops for your podcast. Use this as a training ground for your
big
podcast.
time, Rich.
No,
this
but
isn't a training ground. This is the pros,
Come
man.
on now. This is the pros, but you can still do it.
They're putting him and I.
Yeah, look at yeah, we're talking about starts. Look at these two jamokes right over here.
They're going to put us on.
You could do it. Come on and do it.
3 hours.
It's a long
lot
time.
of air.
I know that.
It's a lot of air.
You can handle it. And that way you go back to bad for business and you're better for it.
Well, if you
Later on. You don't have to say yes or no. We can take the rest of this offline, Jerry.
I'll say yes, but I just know if they go 3, 2, 1.
Who's your dream guest for it that you haven't gotten yet? Because you've gotten, you had Doug on, obviously, who you worked with. But that was a great one. Emmanuel was great.
Shrieky.
I'm really close to getting Kevin Durant. I'd like to have on, and we're
he's
close.
available right now.
He's available. We're close. I don't know if it's actually going to happen. And that's someone I always find it it's weird when I'm interviewing someone I know because I had Jerry O'Connell on 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about this. We've never discussed acting or he's had a really great career. I have a million questions about Stand By Me. We've never talked about it ever. So I thought this is the place where I'm going to do it.
Man.
And just as I started to broach, he's like, I don't want to talk about that. Let's talk. And we didn't even get to. I had pages of notes about Stand By Me.
You had Jerry O'Connell calls you to write notes?
No. I had that one.
I know that. But you prepared for your Jerry O'Connell.
I had 3 pages of Stand By Me questions.
Was it really blueberry pie that Lardass was eating and stuff like that?
So many things like that, and and I didn't even get the chance to even talk about River Phoenix.
So have Jerry on here when you're filling in.
This forum, I'll get him to open up.
There you go.
This forum, I'll get him to open up.
Jerry Ferrara, thank you so much for coming on. Fox Fantasy Football with Fantasy Football Uncensored.
Uncensored.
Oh, come on now. Uncensored. See, those are the types of shows. Let's call it uncensored to make it seem like it's going to be totally off the wall.
It's more censored than anything that you and I have ever done.
But I'm sure it's very uncensored. I'm sure that, and it's good to have you on here. Good luck in all your fantasy leagues. Come back anytime. Guest host, whatever you want to do, man.
Guest host. It'll take me about a year to mentally prepare for it. So I'll start now.
My wife is sitting in for me on Friday. Yes. This show, it's fun. Come on in.
We'll keep doing it.
Okay,
yeah, I love what you guys do.
Good to see you, buddy.
Absolutely.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern, on Audience.